Hello, everybody. I just want to share with particularly Muslims, and I'm sure some of you saw this video. Let's have a look.
الله يا رب تعيش أحلى سنين قولوا ما شاء الله ويا محلى زوج صالحين ربنا يجمعك ويا بعض في الجنة رب
This is promoting, or is it making it that the older man on the left is the Imam of Haramain, Saudi Arabia, Imam, and on his right, that's what is implying. I'm not saying that's exactly what it is. I will explain later. On his right, this youngish man is his son-in-law, or to be son-in-law, or Karan, just he became a son-in-law. And on the right lady, the young lady, is his daughter. Now, I saw some other videos earlier in the week, which really quite surprised me and shocked me, and said, I knew there was some been reporting or some transformation happening in Saudi Arabia, but I've never thought it will be this dramatic. It was that other one was a lavish, very lavish wedding, gathering. There were no women, as traditionally is normally Muslim, especially traditionally Muslim country like Saudi Arabia. It was only men you see. Yes, you saw the bride and the groom together, also dressed like this, roughly. But there was a lot of people. There was all the food and all sorts of over the top, extremely also over the top. Although I saw some like that in Saudi videos where they put too much emphasis on the food. It really, I feel so uncomfortable sometimes. It makes the people who are doing that's actually some sort of an animalistic, really. I'm really sorry to say. Animalistic means when you focus too much food, not only the quality, but you more focus on the quantity of the food. That is a kind of an animal, really. What is the word? It's an animalistic attitude, just to eat as much as you can, and therefore, and saying it, what that kind of picture will imply is, if we got whatever we can eat, we are in the best place. And that's what animals do. Animals, they just want it. They don't have a calculation of, measure it and self-control, all of that. They just eat it until they cannot eat it. So therefore, and I'm not saying this particular one was true. I will explain it later. But I'm saying is I did see some real, food, festivals of some sort. Lavish, not only wedding but other things, maybe even was Eid or something, where you even see a whole camel cooked, and people are grabbing food from it, and also rice and all sorts of things being stuffed in it. And I just say this is really not good. It's not a good picture. It doesn't give you people who are in control. A human is their bestie when they are in control, and they do whatever they do in modesty, and that is what defines really human being. That's what differentiates us from animals. They just go with their instinct, and if they lack something, they eat it until they cannot eat it, no longer eat it. And if they see something, they also lash out and kill it. They and also, if they lack something without making calculation and thinking how dangerous or good for it, they just go for it. Anyway, that's what I saw, it kind of reminded me of what I saw before, and I said, is this right? Is this really right? Not only this, out of control food thing and lavishing, especially a religious person, a Muslim, especially what we see in Gaza and all of this, what happened in the Muslim countries, which are not even that far from Saudi Arabia, to be showing that really, and then the lack of traditional thing, something you can never ever imagine. A woman wearing, pretty much showing her hair and her thing, and also very Western wearing dress or that kind of thing, showing up. Saudi Arabia is where is still a lot of women, I think, if not all of them, cover their face. Not only the burqa, but actually a lot of them, as we know, it cover their faces and they hardly come out. So I was really, I could not understand what was going on. And it didn't occur to me this could be an AI generated. And I think this AI thing, really, I don't know how other people see it. I'm someone who loves documentaries, real things. I really love, especially videos and photos. I love it because it gives you something you could have never seen it in real life. You could not visit and be so many places. But when you saw a photo being taken or a video being recorded, it makes you almost as you were there and saw it. You can look the people's behavior, how people behave, not only even a natural thing, but even people's behavior. Someone can tell you particular people, what they look like and what they like and how they behave. They can describe it, and they always, that description, something will miss, and their description and the way they saw it will affect you. But when you saw a video, you the one who's getting that information without a third party. Of course, it can be edited, you can be manipulated, but by and large, what you see is what you see. What you saw. And also when you hear, when audio is added, also you hear in their voice. Even if you don't understand, you can read their body language, all of that. So that's who I am. I love watching videos and documentaries and this kind of things. And now really this AI thing, I love it. The AI is an enormous development, really, but it's really playing with my head. And the reason is I see some very weird strange video, and then the first thing come to my mind is this real or is it AI generated video? Because in the last even couple of months, the video AI generated videos and photos are becoming very, very realistic. Very realistic. Some of them you could actually dictate, you can see it, the way it is, of the skin being too smooth, and also the color not being exactly. I usually pick it up when someone generates an African or maybe hasn't learned it yet very well. I don't know whether it's African or Somali. Some people create it. I can pick it up. I can say, oh, maybe I know it. Actually, it just reminds me now. How you see, I always, found it with interesting in East Africa. Outsiders cannot differentiate very well between Somalis, Ethiopians, Eritreans, those, East African countries, Oromo, they cannot differentiate very well. Outsiders, they just look the same. They are not, Middle Eastern, somewhere, not European, like white people. They are not also very Southern African, West African, very dark, somewhere in between. So they just know they are there from somewhere East Africa, but they cannot fully differentiate. But actually, especially me, someone who grew up in there, and I can easily differentiate, although it becomes a bit harder now, especially in the West. And I think the reason is I guess the same sun is being exposed to us, and I guess environment. So let me say the environment. You are let's say an Ethiopian person or Eritrean or Oromo person in a city somewhere in the West. You are exposed in the same environment, but also more and more people are eating the same food also, or similar food, and therefore there is a convergence happening, and you sometimes struggle. But by and large, you can tell the difference. That's what I'm trying to say. You can, especially people who could use, you can tell them, but also they struggle. So maybe it's the same thing when I see an African image being generated by AI, I can actually very confidently say, oh no, this is very likely AI generated. But when it's been when AI generates other other cultures or other things, even animals or something like that, I do struggle. I don't know whether the AI which generated these other things are so well trained, and therefore imitates very well. and let me explain what I mean by that. It doesn't mean some Afrikaners or whatever have a less computer, I think, or less skill. No, that's not what it is. It means the computer, the AI model, all it's doing is a prediction, an imitation of something. And the more information, the more data, the more it has, the better prediction or closer to reality it can make. So if it plays with this particular model, if it plays with millions and millions and millions of photos and likes and different people of, let's say, Europeans and this particular people or even animals or whatever, then it can predict something very close to that, image, a particular image you wanted. It will become very close, very close as possible, where it might reach even at the state no one can differentiate. But if it's training less on, let's say, African, color or African people, then it can predict less. It will be a bit amateurs. Now, so what am I trying to say here? I know I'm carrying on. What I'm trying to say is this is the first one, did something which really very, very important and had been talked about it. You hear being said, authorities saying it, I need to be controlled, I need to be controlled. And I know some people who don't fully understand it might think when they say I need to be controlled, that what they say is, oh, let's shut it down, or let's stop it, or let's not allow people to make AI certain things or something like that. No, that's not what they say. That's not possible. You cannot police it. You cannot make it a creativity or whatever it is, illegal or legal or whatever. No, that's not what they're talking about. What they're talking about is to be labeled, especially the people who are making the content, the people who are prompting or commanding the AI, the people who are, the people who are prompting the AI to do to generate certain things, to therefore edit that this is AI generated. So that's one part of it. It's the person who's making it. For example, when they generate a photo or video or whatever, to say themselves, to declare and say, this is AI generated. That's one way of it. It's a more of an ethical responsibility, moral, ethical responsibility for content creators. That's one way on it. The second way is the application, let's say Copilot or ChatGPT. The whole thing is based on what's called OpenAI. That is the mother, whatever, where all they come from, and all the things are on top of being built. And there's so many models. Even Google has its own model, or all sorts of other things. So the model or the software which takes the order from you and generating this thing, when it generates a photo or a video, it will, the requirement of what is being proposed, I don't know whether it's been implemented, is to add a code to say this is AI generated. And therefore, if someone, for example, creates, and it's been done, someone doing something, let's say illegal, someone look like they're shooting someone else, video is being created, and someone generates, and then look like someone is shooting that person, look someone very close to someone, and therefore that video is being produced, and everybody says, hang on, oh, so and so is shooting people and killing people or whatever. Now, if that process is implemented correctly, that means when that visual or photo is being generated, or even the audio is being generated, the application which generated should have added a code inside. The person who's the content creator cannot remove it, which says yes, this is AI generated. So when it comes to the public or to the authority or people with a certain applications or skills or whatever, the idea is they should be able to inquire and say, is this an AI generated? Just put to another application or something. And then that will say, yes, this is an AI generated. Or no, this is not an AI generated. of course, there's always someone can create a model, or sorry, not a model, but maybe it's a model, like something similar to the things we use now, Copilot or the Google Genome, can create something like that, which they then train it or make it do exactly what I'm talking about, video and photo, and deliberately then not allow that code to be edited. And you know, that of course it will be a lot tougher. Yeah, still AI might figure out, or some way of, there might be some way of finding out, but that will be, at least it's not, it's like a someone who deliberately breaks the law or the protocol. You know, when you make something, you like, for example, I give you a good example is the advertisement nowadays is on the TV, sorry, on the internet, and all of that's out of control. But long time ago, when there was the controlling mainstream media, whether it's a newspaper or magazine or a TV or radio, every country, especially where I am in Australia, it was a requirement to mention and to say this, either of course to be saying who is advertisement is for, and saying this company, whatever. Or even the companies, I think it was a requirement somewhere, the code, or sorry, a tech, or the verbal should be included, saying it, you know, oh, this is ad is been generated by so and so, or been implemented or paid for, or this. But let me go back to the political one, the politics thing, video. There's this requirement of to say who authorized this ad, and the address and the telephone and the telephone number. Excuse me. Who authorized it? It should be, that's requirement. So this is, so that's similar. Now, what I'm trying to say is someone can, of course, create that sort of ad and then remove that. Of course, the gatekeeper for that is the medium being used. So if it's a TV, they should not run an ad like that without having the authorized people. Of course, they can put the wrong authorization. That's another issue. But that's a gatekeeper thing. Internet makes all that sort of thing difficult. So that's it's similar to that. This AI generated. So you add a code saying it. This content is being generated by AI. So if someone misreports it and says, oh, I saw so and so people who are killing people and hurting people and whatever, then someone can look at it and say, oh, no, this thing is being generated by AI. It's not that person. It's not the real thing. Now, what I'm trying to say is this thing now is, for the first I saw it. See on the bottom, it says creator labeled as AI generated. The text, there is a text on the bottom. It says, I think I can show you. Actually, there is a, I can actually show you. Yes. So this is, creator, the one who created it, labeled as AI. So even this one is a bit of deficiency. It means to be self-reporting. The person or the group or whatever generated this thing said it. This is AI, and if they did not do that, we would have been on the dark, like I was before in the other videos, not knowing anything about what the hell is going on. But that's what they did. But the other option is the application which generated it to embed it. Embedded means inside it, and you don't see it very clearly. But if someone using some software or something can figure out, or at least it can be inquired about, is this AI generated. So I just wanted to share with you that that's very important. We need to know this, very, very important. When you hear a controlling mechanism should be put into AI, that is what they're talking about. To force content creators to say it when something is being generated by AI, and therefore if you see someone who's generating again and again a content generated by AI and not mentioning it, then you can know that person is unethical, that person is unreliable, that person is not someone who's not blamed by the books. Or that just self-reporting thing. That the other way is the software creators, the people who are behind the software, Copilot, Genome, whatever, themselves to embed something that the content creator cannot see it, which if it needed can be then decoded, and then someone can say yes, whether the person who created it or prompted the software to creating content, whether they labeled it as is it here or not. This is being generated by AI. So now I'm having the second thought. I don't know. Tell me anyone who knows it. Or maybe you can search it. This the Imam is Sudasi. Imam Sudasi, and this has been going around, and I must say I was shocked that this is, they can, regardless of how things change. I was hearing, I don't know whether it's true, was hearing it as gambling is allowed in Saudi Arabia, what is it, international model, so I'm hearing all sort of almost unbelievable, 10, 20, maybe even 50 or 15 years ago. I was hearing it. And now this to be heard video, and someone who's prominent as an imam of the Haramain participating, and his daughter doing it, that was another level. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's wrong or anything like that. I'm not making a religious judgment or anything. I'm just saying it, that's not, first of all, it's not the traditional Islamic, culture. And Saudi Arabia being very conservative and very, very associated with, going to the highest of Islam, whether it's right, whether they sometimes genuine or there's some other things going on, is now to be going what's called sometimes 360 degree, almost is a very, very concerning, and we need to be aware of it. I think it's good, it's important when someone is changing their direction completely, that they make some sort of a declaration. They say, hey, look, we used to head this way, we used to do this thing, and now completely we're changing it. Whatever that thing is, whatever it's based, whether it's just their own wish or it's a changing of the understanding of the religion or the system or whatever it is. I will say one more thing about I said Imam. He's not the Mufti. Sudasi, he's not, Shekh Sudasi, he's not the Mufti of Saudi Arabia. He is the Imam of Haramain. I think it's in Makkah. I'm not really sure whether it's in Makkah or Medina or both of them, but it must be, he can only do one of them. Look, let me tell you, he's not, in terms of authority, he's not that significant. Not that he does not make Mufti, he's the one who makes, it's like almost a judge in Islam who makes a declaration whether something is according to Islam or not. Or that pretty much in a nutshell. That's what they do. It's like a judge. A judge, facts are put in front of a judge, and then they make a declaration according to the rules they have, whatever that rule is. According to that, they make a judgment, a declaration. I say this is according to that, or this is not according to that, or something along this line. And until another authority, higher or whatever other processes, overrides them, that is the way things go. So Mufti is like that. He is according to their understanding of the religion and the knowledgeable and all of that and the system in place. They declare certain things to be according to the religion. Of course, a lot of it is already there and now need really interpretation. It's not it does not need a declaration per se. It's not, doesn't mean the religion is changed. But what they a lot of time do declaration is when new things come. When new things come, unknown or whatever, that is where they observe it, they learn it, and they compare it to other things, and then they make a declaration and say, okay, this is according to Islam, this is not according to Islam. Or they might even, without even saying it is according to Islam or not Islam, they might add it in a category. A good example is, for example, something is, alcoholic or khamr. Alcohol is even different, but khamr, I think it's the alcohol, I think it's a tree or something. It's not itself, my understanding of it, itself is not been forbidden, but it is how it makes your mind. So if a Mufti, certain things comes up, and then the Mufti declares this is like alcohol or like whatever this thing people drink and change their mind, they don't need to necessarily say is forbidden or not forbidden. If by just putting in that category, it takes the same category of what you know it. A similar thing if they say also something is halal and allowed, and if something is new and they look at it and they say, oh, this is like that, it's like a tea or whatever, something people drink it, then it takes it takes that, how can I say, content, that characteristics. Yes, that same characteristics of that, and therefore, if that was forbidden, this one, that means it's also forbidden. If that is taken, that's allowed, that's allowed. So the imam is not like that. So in terms of authority, he is not that significant, but he is very significant, and even sometimes more significant than the mufti, the imam. And I tell you why. Because imam who leads the prayer 5 times a day, and even a town, if it's a big town or whatever, that means this person, this sheikh, is engaging the community 5 times daily, 5 times a day. And they see him, and he leads the prayer. So anything they see him do must be according to Islam. And anything they see him not doing it and avoiding it, it has to be also something against Islam or not religiously. So it is very indirectly, not a directly, that the Muslims will observe and see him and try to be, if they want to be very good Muslims, they will try to be like him. If they want to be, to do something, not so right, it means they doing it something that Imam probably is not doing. So it is the visible face of the religion, the Imam. It's a physical, it's a visual representation how is. Although they don't know a lot about him, of course they don't go with him his home, but 5 times, I said, 5 times a day they see him. A lot of the Muslims see him, the Imam. So that is why he's I believe, very significant. For example, in all over the world today, no one, including me, knows the Mufti of Saudi Arabia, the person who makes a judgment whether something is according to Islam or not, who's the authority, the Mufti, authoritative person. No one, I don't know his name. I don't think I heard it. Maybe a long time ago was Ibn Baz or something. I remember someone in the 80s or maybe 90s. You used to hear sometimes in the media making, fatwa or something. It was maybe Ibn Baz. I don't know. I don't think he's still around. I don't know who replaced him. But a lot of them, not almost, but a lot of Muslims know Sudasi and read hear his recitation, especially Ramadan time, that kind of thing. So that in that context is very important. So if this is absolutely AI generated and not a real thing, not based on truth, and his daughter, he's not giving away his daughter and not behaving this way and not recorded this way, I believe this is very, very deliberate misleading and confusion intended for the Muslims. Really, I'm not the one who believed really that because Muslims or people behaving this way, they are somehow becoming bad. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that someone is trying to throw us off the cliff and they're showing us someone behaving this way, and if you behave this way, you're throwing yourself off the cliff. No, that's not what I'm saying. It is the trust. They creating a doubt. People we think are mostly following, a particular way of observing Islam and are requesting and requiring people and always showing that image. Now to see another image, which they do it on their own, look like private whenever they're conducting their thing, by showing you that, it creates a very powerful, strong doubt on them. And imagine anyone who sees them when they see him, Sudasi, if that's what is happening, that's not true, and they see this video, and now they see him recitation, instead of having this, even if they don't intentionally think about it, conscious having a connection with the Quran and the prayer and the mosque and these religious people, instead of having that connection with them, they have, even if they don't express it, they have this negativity, this doubt of saying, no, this is the person who tells us and who behaves and dresses up when they are outside this way, but he's, allowing this to be happening in his family. What other things is happening, we don't know it, and it's not been recorded, and this is being recorded. So the intention is to create doubt, and I think it's very, very important that we should be aware of it, that doubt being created, and also try to find out who is behind it. Thank you very much.